AITA for not mentioning that my wife and I are expecting at my brother's wedding? My older brother got married last weekend. It was a huge wedding and they had guests from all over the world. Not like every guest was from out of town, but our family is far-flung and there were guests from Denmark, Uruguay, and Australia. There were a bunch of our of-town family from all over North America as well. My wife and I have been trying for a couple years now to have a kid. Unsuccessfully, unfortunately. Until now. We are on week 12 and Alice good so far. I was my brother's best man and my wife did the video they played at the reception. She does that sort of thing as a hobby because she is an AV neat from back in the day. My brother and his wife had lunch with our parents and my wife and I yesterday. We told them that we were expecting and it didn't go as we expected. My dad, brother, and sister-in-law were happy for us and my mom was upset. Not because we are expecting. Because we did not tell all the out-of-town family. We won't see most of them again for years. The only reason some able to attend the wedding was because my dad has a billion air miles. So my mom said that we should have let everyone know. So they could be part of our good news. My brother thanked me for not overshadowing his wedding. My sister-in-law called me last night to thank me because she does not want to start * hit with my mom. I didn't think it was the right thing to do, but my mom makes a good point. Some of the guests won't be back in Texas for years. AITA for not inviting my poorer relatives to my wedding for a good reason. I am getting married in June. I sent out my invitations in January to give everyone time to RSVP. We are having a destination wedding at a great resort in the Dominican Republic. Our invitations were expensive. And we thought it was a good place to economize if we only sent invitations to people who could afford to come. Right now my mom says she is very disappointed with me. I've upset so many people. My mom says that I was rude to judge people by their income. I didn't judge anyone. I just picked the people I thought could afford to go. AITA? AITA for not giving my daughter who eloped cash for her honeymoon? My daughter Jane recently eloped with her partner of 5 years. My wife and I were excited when they got engaged to plan a wedding, but she said she didn't want to rush setting a date or planning a wedding. This was understandable to us and we didn't want to rush them either, but we let her know we would contribute a set amount to her wedding when the time came. Then last tells me she has an announcement and that they actually eloped together because they decided they didn't want the big event with all the attention on them. This was a little disappointing, but we understood. She's never been the type to want to bait a spotlight, so while we weren't expecting it, it wasn't the biggest shock in the world. What did feel like a shock is when she assumed we'd just give her that amount of cash straight up. She said they wanted to use it to take a month-long traveling sabbatical, honeymoon. My wife and I told her the money we were prepared to give her was for a family event, not just for her to do as she pleases. If she didn't want a traditional wedding, that's fine, but we never told her we were just giving her, say, $15,000 for the act of getting married. We just didn't want her to have to spend a ton of her own funds on a wedding, and since relatives and family friends would have presumably been there, we were happy to pay for it so she wouldn't have to. 2 of my nieces have gotten married in the last couple years and it's a family event to us, not just about the 2 people getting married. This has caused a whole thing with her saying we went back on our word to her, but in my mind we never told her otherwise. We did say if she wants a second ceremony, family event to celebrate but wouldn't be an official wedding, we would sponsor that. If she had asked if she eloped or had a tiny wedding if we would give her some of it for a honeymoon, we may have considered it, but it's hard to know because we were never given the request. They just went and did their own thing, which again fine. AITA for not just giving her the cash we would have paid?
AITA for making a game out of my partner's parents' religious decor? Since others know my actual Reddit. My partner and I visit his parents often. Despite a rocky start given our relationship, they've become very accepting and welcoming. They are also very, very religious, and have many crosses and imagery of Jesus around the house. Sometimes these show up in odd places. Behind a towel rack, in a kitchen cupboard, inside the garage door panel. Everywhere. For a few months now, whenever we visit, my partner and I have a secret game we call Peekaboo Jesus. Basically, Whenever we find a new Jesus statue poking out of a random place, we say, "Peekaboo, Jesus." Between us it's harmless fun and we both get a kick out of it. This past weekend we visited for lunch. While we're helping set the table, a new Jesus appeared, his long-haired halo-crested head peeping out from within the china cabinet. Without thinking, I blurted, "Peekaboo, Jesus," and pointed to our hide-and-seek savior. It turns out my partner's mom was in the doorway behind me. She was not impressed and pretty upset. My partner tried to talk to her, and tell her we didn't mean any offense by the game, but she was still pretty insulted. The dinner was awkward and I've been thinking about what happened ever since. Am I the ASshole for creating and playing Peekaboo Jesus? AITA for accusing my sister of lying about being lesbian? My sister was always a tomboy and she made it clear very young that she is into girls. She didn't even have to come out, as she has been talking about her girl crushes since middle school. She has a really close best friend, Ben, who was always allowed to come over and even sleep at our house, because our parents viewed him as just a friend. Meanwhile I was never allowed to have boys over. Their relationship was always a bit suspicious to me, because they were always very close physically, play wrestling with each other and such. She is 19 now, attending the same college as Ben and they even live together as roommates. She came home last weekend and announced that Ben and her are dating now. Our parents were surprised, but they didn't say anything. I pulled her aside to ask what's up. I see two options. 1. She is not into Ben, but suddenly decided to use him as a beard and go back to the closet for some mysterious reason. 2. She was always into him and they had been secretly dating all this time, and she purposefully lied to our parents to be able to spend more time with Ben. She said that she didn't lie. She needed time to figure out her sexuality and coming to terms with her bisexuality when everyone treated her like a lesbian since she was 8 didn't make it easy for her. She also said that if I have a problem with our parents not letting me have boys over, I need to take it up with them, not her. Then she treated me like hit the whole rest of the weekend. I think asking her what's going on was an absolutely fair question and her reaction is over the board. But on the other hand, I'm straight and have no clue how it is to grow up openly lesbian. Closetedly bi. AITA?
AITA for calling my pets my babies in front of my sill and not letting her kids to visit? Me, 30F, and my fiancé, 31M, were fortunate enough to land well-paying remote and flexible jobs so we were able to get a bigger house. We don't plan on any children and instead give all our love to our animals. We currently have 4 cats, 2 dogs and 3 horses, and in the future we want to be able to purchase a farm and get more animals. I absolutely love each of them and we make sure they get all the care and love they deserve, since all cats and dogs were rescued and some had issues dealing with humans. Horses are a part of my hobby, so I also make sure they are enjoying their lives and have ability to spend most of the time outside and not in the stables. It is also worth mentioning that one of the cats is 18 and has been with me since she was a kitten, and one of the horses has been with me since he was 4. He is now 25, so I always refer to them as my precious babies. My sister-in-law, Kate, seemed to have an issue with the way we refer to our animals, especially the way I call my oldest ones. I have explained to her multiple times that considering how old they are and how long they have been with me, to me they are like my children, as I have raised them, took care of them and looked after them when they were poor. However, Kate still feels it is disrespectful to call them babies, as they are not kids and because their own children are not invited in our house and can't spend time with the animals. It got worse this week as Kate wanted to come and stay for a few days in our house with kids and her partner and have Winter Wonderland photo shoot with the animals, as we got a decent amount of snow over here in the past few days. I have told her she is not allowed as her children are still very young and seem to be unable to treat Pyrrha with the care and respect the animals deserve, especially since most of them are rescued. Kate didn't like my answer and blew up, calling me an ASshole for comparing animals to children and making them more important and for not allowing her to visit. AITA? Edit for context. Kids are 3 and 5. And my fiancé is on my side here, as he also cares about the animals deeply and have told his sister her kids need to learn how to behave around animals first and treat them with respect and care. He is also able to spend family time with them as we do different activities with them every few weeks. Edit 2. As it has been asked before, we do spend time with our nephew and niece once every few weeks and do activities together. It is just we are not comfortable with them in our house. Both of the kids have been exposed to animals. They visit my mill a few times a week who has dogs. However, due to the way they behave around and tough dogs, her dogs tend to hide when the kids are there and refuse to come out.